Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to be featuring a Brawl deck with Farideh Devil's Chosen as our commander, as part of our series of Brawl videos featuring commanders from adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Farideh cares about rolling dice, specifically 20-sided dice, a mechanic from adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Now, the Is It dice rolling archetype was the weakest in Forgotten Realms Limited, so in order to maximize triggering Farideh's ability to gain menace and flying or to draw cards, we are playing some weaker cards, but we make up for it with some other more powerful ones as well. I've broken the deck up into categories, so let's look at them now, starting with our ramp. As we are trying to get Farideh in play as soon as possible, we're playing most of the cheap ramp artifacts available on Arena. Chrome Mox, which lets us get off to explosive starts, as well as the usual suspects at 2 mana: Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Guardian Idol, Mind Stone, Ornithopter of Paradise, Solar Transformer, and the Iron Crag. We also have the recent additions of Mana Dorks in red, Sunset Strike Master, and the new Zookeeper Mechan from Edge of Eternities, as well as the new Is It Signet and Talisman of Creativity from the latest Anthology expansion. At 3 mana, the new All Fates scroll from Edge of Eternities and the new Blitzball from Final Fantasy can both be sacrificed to draw cards, while Cultivator's Caravan is a vehicle that can be crewed by our commander. Vial of Galadriel can let us draw an extra card if we draw while empty-handed, while Pristine Talisman gains 1 life when it taps to add mana. Finally, the Celestus lets us gain life and loot as it switches between day and night. We have a lot of interaction to get rid of blockers or to disrupt the opponent's game plan. Wash Away and Tail's End are efficient counterspells for the opponent's commander, while the classic Lightning Bolt is an efficient red burn spell. Spiked Pit Trap can be flashed in, and while it is a bit clunky, it triggers our commander once it is activated, dealing 5 damage and sometimes netting us a treasure, while Negate counters non-creature spells. Meanwhile, the classic counterspell and the busted Mana Drain can answer any spell. All 3 of Fanged Flames, Nephit's Enthusiasm, and Obliterating Bolt deal 4 damage to creatures or planeswalkers, each with additional effect, while the new Suplex from Final Fantasy can exile smaller creatures or artifacts. Swiftfoot Boots protects the creature it is attached to by giving it hexproof, while Power of Persuasion triggers our commander while either bouncing a creature, putting it on top or bottom of its owner's library, or gaining control of it until end of turn. Scion of Stygia can be flashed in and taps down a creature, triggering our commander in the process, while Ionize counters a spell and deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. When we cast Prismari Command, we can choose 2 modes between dealing 2 damage to any target, destroying an artifact, drawing and discarding 2 cards, or making a treasure. Gale's Redirection effectively counters a spell while getting around spells that can't be countered, allowing us to cast the spell it exiles, triggering our commander in the process, while Farideh's Fireball triggers our commander, dealing 5 damage to a creature or planeswalker, and depending on the result of the die roll, 2 damage to each player or just to the opponent. Finally, Mind Swipe is a potentially bigger Ionize and can be cast at any point on our curve. Next, we have our dice rolling enablers and payoffs in addition to our commander. Barbarian Class and Pixie Guide both let us roll 2 20-sided dice and use the best result. Barbarian Class can also be leveled up for additional effect. Brazen Dwarf pings the opponent whenever we roll dice, while Feywild Trickster makes Flying Fairy Dragon tokens whenever we roll dice. Next are our dice rolling cards that don't fit into other categories. Goblin Morningstar is an equipment that boosts the power of the creature it is attached to and gives it trample, and depending on what we roll when it enters, can come equipped to a Goblin token, while Treasure Chest can either cause us to lose 3 life if we are particularly unlucky, or make 5 treasures, gain 3 life and draw 3 cards, or search our library for any card and put it into our hand, or if it is an artifact, we can put it directly onto the battlefield. Genie Windseer scries when it enters, with the die roll determining how many cards we look at, while Delina, Wild Mage, creates tapped and attacking token copies of another creature when she attacks. Hoarding Ogre creates treasures when it attacks, while Chaos Channeler exiles cards from the top of our deck when it attacks, which we can play until end of turn. Depending on the result of the die roll, when Aberrant Mind Sorcerer enters, it either puts an instant or sorcery from our graveyard on top of our deck or returns it to our hand, while Swarming Goblins creates goblin tokens when it enters, the number of which is determined by the result of the die roll. The Deck of Many Things can be activated repeatedly to roll a d20, making it particularly good if our commander is in play. Depending on the result of the die roll, we might discard our hand if we are unlucky, return a random card from our graveyard to our hand, draw 2 cards, or if we are empty-handed, put a creature from either graveyard onto the battlefield under our control. And if that creature dies, its owner loses the game. So if we pick one of the opponent's creatures, they can't afford to kill it with removal. Ancient Copper Dragon can make a number of treasures equal to the result of a die roll when it hits the opponent, which isn't the most synergistic with our commander, who wants us to roll dice before combat, but potentially making a lot of treasure is worth it. When Earth Cult Elemental enters, we roll a d20, and depending on the result, either both players sacrifice a permanent, or just the opponent sacrifices either 1 or 2 permanents. While Wizard's Spellbook can be activated repeatedly to exile instants or sorceries from either player's graveyard, and depending on the result of the die roll, lets us cast the spell normally, lets us cast the spell for just 1 generic mana, or lets us cast every spell exiled with the spellbook without paying their mana costs. Our final category consists of our card advantage, some of which also roll dice to trigger our commander. We can copy Mentor's Guidance while our commander is in play, while Arcane Investigator either draws a card when it enters, or lets us put 1 card from the top 3 into our hand, depending on the result of the die roll. Expressive Iteration looks at the top 3 cards of our library and puts 1 of them into our hand, 1 on the bottom of our deck, and exiles the other one, which we can play until end of turn. It is a great play on turn 3 to help us hit our land drops. The Royal Scions can either draw and discard, or buff a creature's power and give it first strike and trample, and it is not too hard to reach their ultimate either, while Contact Other Plane draws at least 2 cards and has additional effect depending on the result of the die roll. We have a lot of artifacts in the deck, so Saheeli Filigree Master will usually draw a card with her plus ability, and her minus ability makes a pair of Flying Thopter tokens with haste. We're not particularly interested in her ultimate, but it is easy to reach, while finally, Ancient Silver Dragon draws cards when it hits the opponent equal to the result of a die roll, also giving us no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. As usual with a 2-color deck, we're playing dual lands that mostly come into play untapped, along with all of the fetch lands that search up islands or mountains, including our non-basic ones. Our utility lands include Odawara, Soaring City for additional interaction, Rivendell to set up our draws, Mines of Moria to make treasures, Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance to make a pair of Hasty Spirit tokens, Restless Spire as a creature land, Cavern of Souls to make our commander uncounterable, and Plaza of Heroes and Tyrite Sanctum to protect our commander. So that's our Farideh deck. Now it's time to take it into the queue and play some games. On the play, We've got 3 lands, some ramp, Swiftfoot boots to protect our commander, which is probably going to be important facing black-red, Rakdos. Wash away for Anyi, or Anji, I'm not sure how you say her name. And then Farideh's Fireball. Most creatures in a vampire deck, Farideh's Fireball can deal with. So I think this is keepable. We also have double red for the Fireball. Mind Stone. That's good because that lets us play Mind Stone into Swiftfoot Boots, and then we can play Farideh equip Swiftfoot Boots. We draw another land. We'll fetch Island here. And we'll even be able to play Farideh equip Swiftfoot Boots, hold up Wash Away for Anyi. I'm going to play Stency Masquerade, deck of many things. We'll keep Yancrag for ramp. Hit for 3. Alright, let's counter Anya here. Land is good. We'll have to play land untapped, so we can activate Deck of Many Things. And we'll do that first main so we can get, we don't really need Flying in Menace. Let's go ahead and get Steam Vents here. So I guess we can wait until end of turn, since we don't need Flying in Menace. And we'll be tapped out, so drawing the card won't matter during our turn. This way, opponent has to respect a potential counterspell or removal spell. Blood Hypnotist. Looks like opponent's got something that can deal with an artifact. Actually, let's let that resolve before we activate the Deck of Many Things, because we might be able to get it back. Alright, we draw 2 cards. And draw a card because we rolled higher than 14. Okay. Let's fetch Island. And then we do have a lot of cards in hand, so it could be a bit risky activating Deck of Many Things. Alright, we still draw 2 cards. Good for 3. Opponent replays their commander. I would need 1 more mana to Mind Swipe that, but I can Fireball on you. You take 3. So sadly, we don't draw a card. And then I think I'll play Swarming Goblins. Alright, so we didn't luck out to draw a card off Farideh. But we've got a blocker for Blood Hypnotist. Now they can make it so that the goblins can't block. So we'll chump with the goblin token. Then Sorin.
Fight with an ancient vampire lord. Foolish. My bloodline flows through you.
Let's activate the Deck of Many Things. Alright, we return a card at random.
I cannot be killed.
Alright, now we draw a card. And we've got Mind Swipe and Negate up. I think we let that resolve. It can't block.
This is but a taste of my power.
That's fine, we can kill that with Prismari Command. Opponent doesn't attack, which is a little bit weird because the Blood Hypnotist can't block. And then let's kill the Falconwrath Forebear, make a treasure. Alright, Mana Drain, that's useful. Let's activate Deck of Many Things. Draw 2 cards. We'll fetch Mountain. And then let's use Power of Persuasion on Blood Hypnotist. It's a sorcery, so let's just do it now. Alright, so that was a pretty poor roll, but alright, and then can I cast Ancient Silver Dragon, hold up Mana Drain? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So not quite. So let's just hold up Mana Drain, Mind Swipe. Can I cast Mind Swipe for X equals 5? 1, 2, I can. And still hold up Mana Drain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can. Blood Hypnotist, I don't care about. Alright, let's just attack. Blood Hypnotist can't block. Alright. So, deck of many things, showing why it's so valuable when it comes to having a repeated way to roll dice. And we drew lots of cards off it, so it was very helpful. On we go. On the play, we've got 3 lands, some early interaction, 2-mana ramp. I think this is keepable. I would like to draw a land relatively soon so I can play Fabled Passage untapped. But I think we can still keep this. And we can dig for land with Thundering Falls. Pixie Guide. Pixie Guide is helpful, but I think I want to look for land for more so I can play Farideh on 3. Plays Emerald Medallion. We didn't draw land. So I think I hold up Mana Drain. Or Titania. I think we'll let that slide. They spend the mana to make a token copy. So I think we'll suplex the sniper. Let's fetch Mountain. Alright, land is good. And then we'll hold up Mana Drain. I think we'll counter that. And that's enough for our opponent. Alright. That tends to happen when you cast Mana Drain. We'll take it. On we go. On the play, only 2 lands, but I've got some ramp. Fang Flames can answer Goshen Tai. Arcane Investigator can help me hit lands, so I think we'll try this. We'll play Iron Crag in the hopes that we draw land so I can play Farideh. Alright, perfect. That was pretty lucky. I can't tell you how many times I've kept a land with, and I should say with 2 lands and never drew land 3, so we lucked it there. Alright, opponent ramps. Plays Wizard class. Fang Flames is a sorcery. We'll flash in Spiked Pit Trap. Don't have double blue for Wild Rose Rebellion counterspell. And then hoping to draw land. So now we haven't drawn land 4. War Leader's Call. Offsidic Memory. Opponent attacks. I don't mind that. Alright, there's land. And then I think I'll play Swarming Goblins. And I'll have to fetch Steam Vents. No, we only roll a 1. That was pretty disappointing. But this is definitely a deck where you live by the die roll, die by the die roll. And if opponent can miss a land drop for 1 more turn, then I can hold up my counter magic. Alright, that's fine. I would have definitely rather they destroyed that than the Iron Crag. Plus I have deck many things. Opponent is attacking still. Let's fetch Island. Now I can activate Arcane Investigator. But I think we'll hold up our counter magic, and if we don't need it, then I'll activate Investigator. Alright, Gale's Redirection, not going to be much use, so we'll just use Counterspell here. And that's enough for opponent. Alright, on we go. On the draw, only 2 lands. They're both tap lands, unless I find untapped land with Thundering Falls. I think we mulligan this. We'd also like to find cheap interaction for Aerith. Alright, this is better. I currently have to exile Hoarding Ogre to play Crow Mox. Okay, so now I can exile Pixie Guide. I think I do. Play Untapped Land. Play Swiftfoot Boots. And then if I don't draw something to play... Alright, Scion of Stygia. Let's flash in the Scion. And I'll play Hoarding Ogre so that I can attack with it and trigger Farideh next turn. Alright, opponent ramps. I'm holding priority for something. If we get really lucky and roll a 20 with Hoarding Ogre, I can play Celestis and equip Swiftfoot Boots. Alright, creating 2 treasures is fine. Land is fine. I suppose I could have attacked with Hoarding Ogre to trigger Farideh, hope to draw a card before playing land for turn. And then I think I'll equip Farideh with the boots. That way, opponent can't target her and remove her to make way for Aerith to attack. Opponent's up to 5 mana. Plays Lionheart. Nephit's enthusiasming. Oh, we roll a 20. Alright, so with Mountain in hand, next turn we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. So we'll be able to play the dragon and equip the boots to it pretty easily. Opponent replays Aerith. We'll thin out the deck a bit. Only one treasure. Opponent's got a block? Nope, they just take it. That's it then. Alright. We'll take it. Alright. On we go. On the draw. This battle map's bugged. The music cuts out, which is too bad. Only 2 lands, but I've got plenty of ramp. Deck of many things to trigger Farideh. I'd have to exile Tail's End to Chrome Mox, but it's pretty good against Ishin. I think we'll try it. On mulligans to 6. Alright. Playing Ornithopter would be better because I don't have a use for the mana from Iron Crag or Talisman, but those are safer against an opponent playing Mardu colors. Not necessarily, because there's plenty of artifact removal, was going to say. Oh, I finished the thought. I sometimes don't. Alright, and then I could play Farideh. I guess we'll try Farideh. Hope she sticks around. And then I want to leave the Iron Crag as ramp artifact. Alright. If I play ramp, can I play Deck of Many Things and activate it next turn? I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can. Ornithopter can block Horde Raider. So I think I will attack with Farideh here. I guess I shouldn't have attacked with Farideh. Alright, we'll block Horde Robber. I think it's Ancient Copper Dragon. That's interesting. I'm surprised they didn't mutate on the zombie army. That does give Death Touch. And I don't particularly want to trade my dragon for their Horde Robber, so I think we let it through. I wasn't blocking with the Ornithopter anyway, so no blocks. Could make the Iron Crag an equipment now. Sure. Alright, 16 treasures. Not bad, not bad. Opponent can sacrifice their treasure, I'm assuming. They do. Then we can empty our hand. There's Ishin. Opponent doesn't attack.
Test your metal against my metal. Let's see who wins.
Let's get aggressive here.
Look how my art hums with life.
Alright. Only a 9. I'm surprised the opponent didn't trade with the 1-1. Opponent falls to 2. Alright, well I guess we'll play Ancient Silver Dragon. And that's enough for opponent. Alright. Alright, so let's take a look at the deck. Alright, so that was our Farideh deck. Farideh is not the most powerful commander, but the upside to that is that you're not facing off against the most powerful commanders either. And you basically do have to untap with Farideh in order to trigger her, and you have to be lucky enough to have a way of rolling dice to trigger her ability. Otherwise, she doesn't really do very much. She's only a 3/3 for 4, which isn't very good. And that, of course, is why we played all of the cards on Arena that roll dice, in order to make sure that we have a way of triggering Farideh consistently. And of course, the other weakness of this deck is there are only a handful of ways of rolling dice repeatedly, namely the Deck of Many Things and Wizard's Spellbook, to roll dice before combat so that you give Farideh Devil's Chosen, Flying and Menace. I forgot Chaos Channeler and Hoarding Ogre, and Delina for that matter, but they can sometimes be just one-offs because if they have to attack in order to roll dice, and sometimes that means that they attack into blockers that they trade with. And then, of course, you also have repeatable rolling with Ancient Silver Dragon and Ancient Copper Dragon, but those don't roll dice until after they hit the opponent, which is too late to get make the Flying and Menace matter for Farideh. So I don't know that this is the strongest strategy, but we do have some powerful cards: Counterspell, Mana Drain, Prismari Command, Expressive Iteration, Wash Away, Lightning Bolt. So as you can see from the games, we are able to hold our own against commanders of comparable power levels. Anyway, so that'll do it for this video. Hope you enjoy. Thanks very much for watching. Do please like and subscribe. If you'd like to see a different commander, maybe one from the new Edge of Eternity set, let me know in the comments. And have a good one. Bye.